yeah, I want to be in my single phase now. I want to work on myself. I want to go get my masters, make that money.
Yes, queen, yes. They want to hunt. They want to chase. They want that. They want that. So give it to them, yaar.
Confidence I get is because I was raised by a very empowered woman.
Wow, mashallah.
Like when you just look for validation from God, you stop caring about what society thinks. How do you kind of tell them that, you know, you should feel confident from within, not based on what others think of you?
I feel like I'm chatting with my friend,
Yeah.
my bestie, dude.
Yeah.
This is take notes, seriously.
Give
like
her princess treatment, give her passenger princess treatment.
150%.
You know?
Like, I don't kiss, okay? I don't kiss and tell, and I don't kiss, okay? So, mwah, mwah, mwah. Like, you know, like just stop being a loser, you know? Get off your ass and just stop being
take
a loser.
action.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting this conversation to be so off the
wholesome.
charts. One of my favorite ones for
I'm
sure,
so
by
glad.
the way. Assalamu alaikum खावतीन और हजरात एंड वेलकम बैक टू माय शो हेलो ज़ेरा जिसकी होस्ट मैं हूँ उल्टी पुल्टी उर्दू स्पीकिंग ज़ेरा और आज जो मेरे साथ बैठी हुई हैं वो एक मॉडल है, वो एक एक्ट्रेस है, वो एक होस्ट है, वो बहुत 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 कुछ चीज़ें कर रही हैं एंड आई एम सो एक्साइटेड टू टॉक टू हर टुडे एंड हम यू नो दूसरे टॉपिक्स के बारे में बात करेंगे. आपको बहुत बहुत मज़ा आएगा इंशाल्लाह, तो स्टे ट्यून्ड एंड आई वुड लव टू वेलकम टू द शो मारिया फुरकान.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for such a nice introduction. Like, I'm so honored to be here because, honestly, like, I've been following you for quite a while as well, and I love the kind of content you create, you know. So I'm glad we're finally able to do this. And
Dude, me too.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of yours too. You know, the confidence you have, the fearlessness. It's so inspiring.
I love this girly girls attitude, like, you know.
Yes, I love it too.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm gonna just go for it. Okay.
Sure.
तो मुझे बताओ अभी आप एक रिलेशनशिप में हैं अभी या आप सिंगल हैं, आप कोई you know प्यार में हैं, कोई इश्क चल रहा है, क्या चल रहा है?
So that's actually really funny because I was watching this reel the other day and I actually just posted it. You know, it's like Gen Z 2024. Man, it's like, what kind of single are you? Are you, I just got out of a relationship single? Are you, I'm working on myself single? Or are you in, you know, I'm in a situationship single? And then it's just like so funny because back when I think we were in our teens, it was just like simple, you know, it was just like, oh, casual or like, are you dating?
Yeah.
And now there are all these categories and you're just like,
By the way, that's such a good point. There are so many categories like situationships भी चल रहे हैं, ये भी हो रहा है, वो भी हो रहा है.
So to answer your question, I'm single, like,
Fully.
yeah, fully.
Okay, good. Then we'll have a really good conversation because you
Yeah.
know I'm with you in this thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm single by choice because I feel like, okay, for a long time, I started dating very young. I was like 14 when I had my first relationship. So I was like, and then, you know, I've been in very long-term relationships, like 2 years, 3 years.
Oh wow.
So I was like in 3 relationships in total. And then I was like, you know, I spent most of my teenage years in a relationship. Why? Like, because, you know, you're growing, you're developing, you want that independence. So now, jab actually time aaya to date and like to get married, like all my friends are like dating and they're like married.
Getting
And I'm just like, yeah, I want to be in my single phase now. I want to work on myself. I want to go get my masters, you know. So
Yes.
make that money.
Yes, queen, yes. So do you feel that it's appropriate that if a girl asks a guy out, or do you feel like that's a little tacky and not accepted?
I think, like, I always ask guys
by the
out.
way, honestly, I have as well.
Like, मुझे मसला
I
नहीं
have,
होता.
मुझे मसला नहीं है.
Whoever's
because
attracted to whoever should go for it first.
I honestly have done
think-
it before, but it
yeah.
has not worked for me.
Look, the thing is, I feel like, you know, there's that law of attraction as well. So if you basically are attracted to someone, you should just tell them. And, you know, maybe the universe will help reciprocate some way. Or at least, like, I don't, again, the whole gender thing, I think it's very performative. And Pakistan mein hota hai ki acha nahi, the guy should always reach out first.
Yeah.
But I think abroad, like, it's very like people are, you know, evolving and like they're
Correct.
open-minded about this.
Honestly, I totally agree with that. But I'm just saying that in my experience, वो मज़ा नहीं आता है because they do always, of course, like I've done it only once or
Yeah.
twice, and it's really not, it's backfired because वो समझते हैं that I'm really into them. And
Oh,
they're not
yeah.
into me,
I
and then
think-
they lose it, and I'm like, bro, what the hell, bro? Like, who are you? औकात में रहो. But once you do that and you've taken that step, then I think you put yourself down. Honestly, as a girl, I just don't think you should ask the guy out, period. Like, in my personal experience, which I've done before, it just doesn't work out. If you like the guy, don't ask him out. Don't tell him you like him. Don't get him gifts. Just do not do it.
I think it really depends on the person's mentality too. Like, what kind of a guy is he? Because a lot of my friends and I have asked out like guys, and in our case, it's worked out. Like the last guy I dated, I asked him out, and we were
Really?
together for like 3 years.
Oh, mashallah.
You know,
Okay,
and it was a
good.
wholesome relationship. Then he moved to the US, and then I was like, okay, no long distance. But like,
Huh.
the point is, I think it really depends from dynamic, like the situation, right? Situation to situation, and the kind of guy it is. Because maybe yeah, in the majority of cases here, the guys would be like, "Oh, मेरे पीछे पीछे आ रही है," you know.
Yeah, हाथ
अब
धो
सर-
के पीछे
अब
पड़
सर पे
गई है.
चढ़
I mean,
जाता है.
like, bro.
Don't be like that. सर पे नहीं
Don't be
चढ़ो.
like
अगर
that.
तुम्हें हम literally lift करवा रहे हैं, or like we're like, you know, giving you the signs or the signals, and take it and like, you know, form a wholesome relationship, or like whatever you want, but like, or both of you want, but like, don't like, you know, take it as an ego boost and like be an ass about it.
Yeah, no, and I don't even think they do it intentionally. I think it's subconsciously, like, like men are hunters. They want to hunt. They want to chase. They want that. So give it to them, yaar. Never give anything. Like, make them work for even a conversation. Anything. You have to make them work so hard. Otherwise, koi qadar nahi hoga. I know it.
I think so. Okay, I have a lot of guy friends too, and we have these kinds of conversations, and they're like two extreme, like, you know, kind of perspectives. The guys are like, "Yaar, Pakistani ladkiyan itni mushkil hain, like to, you know, talk to, or like to kind of like,
Because
you know,
they've been trained. Their mothers have trained them, okay?
And
And
they're
I
like, "Can
learned
we
this
go
later
abroad?"
on in my life because my mother raised me to be confident, independent.
Yeah.
She didn't raise me with. Now I'm starting to realize that all of these girls have been trained. Ye nahi karo, aise baat karo, aise behave karo, ye. And I'm just like, now I'm learning how to be a normal lady, Pakistani
yeah,
girl.
you have to unlearn a lot of things.
Unlearn
too.
a lot of
I think
things,
I've
yeah.
unlearned a lot as well. But my point is, like, guys, my guy friends say, ki, you know, why do Pakistani girls play so hard to get? And then I tell them that it's not that they're playing hard to get. It's just that, you know, given our cultural like standards, like we can't just, you know, we have to be picky and we have to choose. We can't just like be available to everyone because there's also that stigma that okay, like, you know,
Sabke paas.
हाँ, all of that के मतलब, you know, even though with guys they can be players and उनको कोई नहीं पूछेगा.
नहीं,
You know?
एक दफा देखेंगे भी नहीं, पूछेंगे
They can
भी
have
नहीं.
as many ex-girlfriends as they want, and then शादी पे के वक्त, like, you know, they want अल्लाह मियाँ की गाय, and they're like कि बस, you know, we don't want our girl, like, wife to be have any dating history, and it's just like double standards, you know, in a way.
It's a little like it's never ending. I feel like we could go
Yeah.
on and on. But I wanted to ask you that, what do you feel that 50-50 hona chahiye? The man should pay or should he not pay? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, a lot of people will not agree with me on this, but I personally feel like whoever is asked the person out on a date should pay. Just as a gesture of like, you know, like courtesy or whatever. But then again, like, I think, you know, they say chivalry is dead. Like, I think if the guy, regardless, I don't know, it's like confusing because as a social sciences major, like I've studied gender theory, and then it's always performative, and like why does the onus fall on the guy to always like, you know, pay first? I think it's like
That's
it's
also
nice
true.
to be
Yeah.
spoiled and like, you know, to be like made to feel special. Like if the guy wants to pay, it's nice. But I think things are changing now, so maybe the first date you should split, and then if the guy really wants to, let him, but like there shouldn't be a prior expectation ke haan उसी को ही pay करना. Like the girl
जी,
should take some
बिल्कुल.
money
I really
with
like.
her. Don't go
I'm
broke.
broke. I have a Louis bag, but it's empty. So, what should one talk about on a first date with a guy? Like to get to know him. Like what are the topics that we should really unpack?
I think this is something I've realized that when do you okay, like let me ask you, when do you enjoy someone else's company?
When do I enjoy someone else's company? When we're talking about things like spiritual or growth or manifestation or ideas,
Okay.
that's what I like.
So exactly, the last part is that's what I like. So someone, you like someone who takes interest in you. So whenever you're on a date, what you should do is like you should make the other person feel like they're interesting, and you should talk about their interests, you know. And if they're reciprocating, then you're vibing, and then you're like, you know what, I like this person and they like me because we have similar interests and we're relating so hard, and then or call it vibing, Gen Z term. But like, yeah, you know, you have to make an effort towards getting to know each other. And if it's just like a one-sided conversation, that if you're just talking about one person's interests, that's never gonna like, you're never gonna vibe at that level, you know?
That is such a good point. And what are your thoughts that how much time do you need to get to really know the person? How much time do you really need to date the person before you take that next step towards commitment, you know, official
I
commitment?
think, honestly, like I've realized, whether you date someone for like 3 years or for like 2 weeks, you never really get to know them until you actually live with them. So, not that I'm encouraging people to live.
No,
to be in
honestly,
living
you should.
relationships
Like, you know, why
before
not?
marriage, but like I'm just saying, like in the West, it's like so common.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe that's also why that, you know, like a lot of them don't get married, and like uski alag, let's not get into that, but the point is like maybe, yeah, and I understand where you're coming from, because you're probably thinking from the perspective that I'll really get to know him once I actually live with him and get married to him.
Right.
So it's not like, so why waste time, you know, with all the other things.
Yeah.
But I think personally, like I would want to take at least 6 months to 1 year to kind of like even see if, like, you know, we have the same values, like, or okay, it doesn't really matter about the time. It's about whether you've had the important conversations. Have you discussed financial circumstances? Have you discussed expectations after marriage? Have you discussed the living situation with, are you going to live with your in-laws? Are you going to live with in a separate place? You know, what is it going to be like? What are the household chores going to look like, you know, for each partner? I think these are really important conversations that people need to have before they get married. So you can do that in 6 months, you can do that in a day, you can do that in like a year. That's up to you. It's your timeline.
Wow, mashallah, Maria, you've got it. You're a smart girl.
Thank
You
you.
really got it going on, right? Like, you guys, claps. Woo! Oh my God!
Thank you, because
amazing,
honestly,
like,
in order to even understand that, like, the kind of conversations I'm having right now, not everyone can understand it. You need to be at a certain level of intellect, right? So you
True.
are also very smart, and like, thank you for appreciating this, you know?
dude, of course. Who wouldn't appreciate you, man?
Aw.
Who wouldn't appreciate you? Wait, I forgot to ask you one thing. It's about relationships. Can we talk a little bit about red flags and green flags?
Oh my God. This
This
is
is
so
your favorite
funny.
topic. So red flags are like you can tell instantly. Like you feel that.
Yeah, you know, okay, so I want to say this, that it has a lot to do with your previous experiences and your former relationship with the first primary relationship or the first primary exposure to love is through your parents, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have a healthy relationship with your parents, it's going to show up in your adult relationships. Like if you have
Wow.
childhood trauma, and all of us do as brown kids, we do. And
Every kid, I think everyone in the world
Yeah.
has trauma, you know, from
and
childhood.
like, of course, it's no one's like, it's, you can't like pinpoint it at like one person. Like everyone's like
Sometimes
struggling.
you can.
Sometimes you can. But like, you know, everyone's trying to be better in their
For
own way,
sure,
or I
for
hope everyone's trying. But the point is, like, someone who's been through like massive levels of childhood trauma, they're gonna, you know, have difficulty in expressing love as an adult. And then this is where attachment styles come into form, right? So
Right.
there's like there are three
Anxious,
anxious, detached, and no,
Uh,
anxious, disorganized, and I think there's another one.
yeah.
Avoidant.
Avoidant.
Yeah, that was my ex. So I can't forget
Avoidant.
that.
I always wanted to be avoidant, but I'm definitely anxious.
I
yeah.
think women generally are anxious
Yeah.
because we're so emotional as beings. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because we're obviously like, God's designed us also in a way that, you know, where we end up giving birth and stuff and our hormones and everything. Like, we are naturally more emotional than men.
Yeah.
You know? So we do feel anxious, especially when we're in love or when we're really like attached to someone.
Yeah.
And if they're like about to withdraw or they're not replying on time, you're like, are you cheating on me? Or are you like done with me? And then the person's just like, no, I was just like,
At the gym, bro.
yeah, I was just at the gym or taking a shit or something.
Yeah. You literally.
And then you're just like, oh shit, I was spiraling, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, it's real. I think all of us are red flags in some way or the other, and all of us have green flags too. But
Wow,
what
that's
really
very
helps is
beautiful, man.
awareness. You know, how self-aware are you, and how much are you willing to improve as a person? So
Wow, dude, what a way to put it. This is just amazing, dude. This is like too good, yaar. I just love it. No, because I feel like, mashallah, you know, I've seen your Instagram and you look fearless, you know,
Aw.
you feel, you know, you empower so many people to do what they feel is right, you know. So tell me, like, you know, where do you get this confidence from?
Oh, I love this. I love this question. I get it from my daddy.
Oh.
Because honestly, okay, so I'll just give you a little bit of like a background. My daddy was basically chosen for. She was very athletic when she was younger. She was into shot put and like these other things she keeps talking about. Like she was very athletic, okay? And yeah, basically she got offered a scholarship to go to Spain. And her dad was like, no, you're gonna get married, you know? And then she was basically like, you know, and it was like, she loved my dada.
Of course,
It's not that
yeah.
she regrets it, but she does say that, you know, I didn't get that chance to actually follow my dream. So I want you to always prioritize your dream. And like, you know, don't like kill it for like a man.
Yes.
And then I was like, you know, those are like
That's what my mom
such
also
words
said,
of
yeah.
wisdom that I live by. And even to this date, like, she's, Masha say, I'm not going to tell her age because Nazar, but like, she's like, you know, she goes to the gym, she can drive, she cooks because she loves cooking, not because anyone asks her to. And like, she's just such a role model for me. And I look at her and, you know, after my dada passed away, I'm like, you know, she is such an iron woman. Like, she's the kind of person I want to end up like. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm just like, you know, all the confidence I get is because I was raised by a very empowered woman.
Wow, mashallah, that's so beautiful to hear that, and you've given her so much credit, which of course is due. And wow, man, and I totally feel that, you know, like if you have dreams, you know, focus karo dreams pe, and then, you know, you can maybe get the guy later, you
Yeah,
know, and that's always like a possibility, you know.
You can. And the thing is, like, if we talk about, like, people in Pakistan, you know, it depends on the mindset too, but first priority होती है, अच्छा, लड़की को इस तरह रेस किया जाए कि, you know, end में फिर उसको एक बहुत अच्छा रिश्ता मिल जाए.
जी बिल्कुल,
ठीक है,
जी
that's the
बिल्कुल.
end goal.
That's
कोई
how they
ऐसे
were
नहीं सोचता
trained,
कि अच्छा
yeah.
ऐसे रेस किया जाए कि वो दुनिया में हमारा नाम रोशन करे, पाकिस्तान का नाम रोशन करे. I saw that Masha say like you had Iman, you know, on your show as well.
Iman Khan.
Yeah.
Yes, she was here.
So we like she's a role model for me too. Like I do kickboxing as well.
Love her,
And like
yeah.
you know I've trained with her and she's so cool and I love that you know there are parents who also sort of you know are raising girls like Iman
yeah.
who are literally like so inspirational.
जी
So
बिल्कुल.
बहुत कम ऐसी families
हाँ.
हैं. मतलब कितनी female athletes हैं पाकिस्तान में.
But even Iman said she had to go against the grain. Like you know, all of like anyone who is doing it, like we also you know have to have that inner you know thing that
Yeah.
like you know because it's not only family pressure, society pressure bhi
For
hota hai.
sure,
You know,
for
then it's
sure.
also the thing of biological clock. Do you want to have kids? When do
Yeah.
you want to have them? You know, you also start feeling a little like all my friends are getting married, all my friends are having kids. should I not be? Am I okay? Am I doing the right thing following my dreams? So what do you think about the biological clock and society pressures?
I'll tell you about that. Before my Turkey trip, I was like so depressed because I was in this very toxic space mentally because I was, all these negative thoughts were piling up. I didn't like my job.
Yeah.
I didn't like the kind of life I was living because I was like, okay, what have I achieved in life so far? Like, I don't have a guy yet. Or like, when am I gonna get married? When am I gonna have kids? Whoever I end up dating or like trying to date, like it doesn't work out, and then I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not even in a career that I'm enjoying right now. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I need to get out of this country. I need a fresh perspective. I got out. I saw how people in Turkey are like literally, it's so safe for women to like commute, like, with public transport. And like there were older women also who were single and like किसी को ये टेंशन नहीं थी अच्छा मेरी शादी कब होगी मेरे बच्चे कब होंगे. So and then I realized all of these thoughts weren't mine. They were imposed upon me because of what I was observing in society. And I was like, I just needed to change my environment because it's not that the seed is faulty, Whenever you're like trying to make a plant grow, it's the environment as well that matters.
Of course.
So, yeah.
100% it's the environment that if you ask anyone that do you agree that your environment affects you, do you agree that if you're hanging out with 4 people that do something that you will also be the 5th to do it, they'll say yes, but they still don't change their environment. They still don't do it because even though they know the information, they'll still be hanging out with those loser people or still be in that toxic work environment.
Agreed.
Whatever it is, but they don't change it.
Yeah, it's also that like, okay, I'll say this, I used to fear change so much because like basically, you get comfortable even though if you're not happy, you're still gonna be like, at least this is like comfortable, right? I know this, it's familiar. But change, the more daunting it is, the more like the more rewarding it feels once you actually overcome that barrier.
Yeah.
And I feel like
like life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Exactly. And like I recently started hanging out. I used to have this I don't know if I should talk about this because it's getting salty now.
do it.
But like, let's just say I had this group of friends that they're still very like dear to me, but we don't hang out as much anymore. Okay, and that was like my core group, and things just like people, their priorities change. Whatever you don't like whatever, people move on. And I kept trying to like make it work. Like I was like I tried to make effort that somehow this stays. But sometimes you just have to let go, and because you're holding on to that thing with so much force that like if you've seen a rubber band, if I like try to pull it, like the more I try to resist it, the more it's gonna like go back in that same motion, right?
What you resist persists.
Yes. Wow, that's smart. So yeah, like I just realized I need to let go. And then things organically started falling into place. I found a new group of friends that's just super wholesome. And I just feel so much at peace. And that's just exactly what tawakkul is, right? Like you have faith in God that He's going to fix everything.
Love God.
Yeah, like the day I started prioritizing praying, that's when like, I was like, things started falling into place. And I was like, it was... Whenever there's like a hurdle in your life, I think that's God's way of saying, hey, come back to me. Like, we haven't chatted in a while.
Oh, I just feel my God, that's amazing. Yeah, and I totally understand and I totally feel, I think after I finished reading the Quran, a lot of miracles started happening
I
in my
saw
life.
that. Yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah, and
it was so wholesome.
It really changed my life, bro. Like reading the Quran and getting close to Allah and, praying and, speaking to Him directly on a daily basis, I think is extremely valuable and extremely important. And, wow. Yeah.
Even like, I think the way, like my relationship with God, like even right now I'm wearing this locket that has the 4 coals on it, right?
Nice. Beautiful.
And like people would look at me and they'll be like, oh, crop top pehni hui hai, lekin saath mein isne Allah ka locket pehna hua hai. Like, who are you to judge? It's my relationship with my creator. It's none of your business to say ke acha, like tum dhozik mein jaogi. Like, You know, all this negativity people need to get out of their system, and they need to be like, they need to realize all of us sin differently. But if God didn't want us to like, you know, if he wanted perfect Muslims or तो फिर वो angels के साथ ही, you know, didn't feel the need to create humans.
Yeah.
The thing he loves is when we actually repent to him and we ask him for forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's the most beautiful thing about like God, right?
Yeah.
And whenever like we genuinely feel guilty about like, you know, disappointing him, that's such a like wholesome relationship. Think of it as like your parents. Whenever you love them so much, and like sometimes you know that you want to prioritize, let's say, not studying, or you know, like prioritize your friends, or you know, whatever, something that will disappoint them, and then you feel bad, and then you're like, hey, you know, I want to go give my mom a hug, or like I want to give my dad a hug. It's the same kind of dynamic here, except it's like probably 100 times or into infinity or whatever, like, you know.
Dude, that is so beautiful. And you know, on the topic of God, even in the Quran, it's written that, you know, if you're not feeling comfortable somewhere, you're feeling really down, travel, you know, move, and like, you know, and that's what
That's
you did.
so right.
You know,
my papa, like, she loves traveling, and she's like an elder sister to me, and she recently went through a very spiritual journey herself, and now she mashallah wears the hijab, and like, you know, I'm very inspired by her.
Yeah.
Even my her kids, like, you know, they're younger than me, and they also wear the hijab, and I'm like hoping inshallah
In
that at
like
some
10
point,
years, we both are gonna be here with hijab. Even I want to do it. Even I want to do it in a
Exactly.
few years. You know, when I'm ready, you and I are gonna have
Let's
another
do it.
conversation
I'll
in
video
hijab,
call
and
you.
we're gonna get this. You know. Okay, amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, she's very cool, by the way, because she's been through this phase as well.
Yeah.
You know? So she keeps like sharing these reels that are saying that in the Quran it says go and explore the world, because you don't even see half of what God's created and what you know, he's capable of. Like, imagine if the world is so beautiful, how beautiful would the heavens be?
Ameen,
You know?
Ameen. Yes.
So
Amen, sister. Yes.
I'm loving this vibe.
I
It's
love
like so
this.
high energy right now.
No, dude, you are really like, I don't even feel like I'm just
I don't
feeling
feel like I'm on a
chatting.
podcast.
Yeah, I feel like I'm chatting with my friend, my
Yeah.
bestie, dude.
Yeah.
This is
Pure
amazing.
energy, yeah.
Like, honestly, I just
Yeah.
listen. One thing you said to me one time recently, that when you were in Turkey, you posted a picture, you know, and you were like, I have to mention this. It was the funniest thing I've heard all week, bro. So, you know, I'd like you to tell it. Bro, you have to, you know, like, khul ke bolo, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm apni maar rahi hu, but like, sure, okay. So basically, if you guys go on my Instagram, there's this reel I uploaded. It was the first reel I uploaded in Turkey. And
It was so funny. What did you say? The tension is
the caption was me feeling the depression leaving my soul as soon as I land in Turkey, right? And some guy, Pakistani guy, commented, yes, there are a lot of other things leaving your body too, like your clothes. And I was just like, okay, like, what even?
The fact that he had, like, he could say that, bro.
Dude, I was like,
I'm
इन
just
लोगों, you know,
shocked.
कितने फारिग हैं यार,
यार,
मतलब
इतने
अपनी
फारिग
चलो
हैं।
कोई और तो enjoy करे ना करे, ये लोग फिर भी पूरा दिन बैठ के बस लोगों की जो है ना, like, they're just like trolling them, and it reflects how insecure people are here
Yeah.
in Pakistan. They will never be happy for someone else who's living their life.
Yeah, like, I mean, itna acha caption aapne likha, and you know, I mean, so tell me that, you know, okay, so I am like extremely, like, you know, I was in New York, okay, and I was very liberal there, okay. So when I moved back, I learned and realized, you know, that what I was doing was not for the awam.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started to change my ways. I started to actually grow as a person and come back to my original
Roots,
self, right?
yeah.
Roots, yeah. So now whenever I do post anything, whether it's even like a small, like, you know, if it's like a tight top even, I'll ask my team like 10 times that, is it okay to post this? They're like, yeah, what's wrong with you? Like, post it. I'm like, are you sure? Like, are you 1,000,000% sure? Like, you know, like, I'm like, you know, obsessed almost with,
You're conscious now.
I'm very conscious about it. So, are
Even
you...
right now, by the way, like before we started this podcast, like I was like to Zara, I'm wearing this like cute crop top that I want to wear, but then I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be accepted, should I wear it, should I not wear it? And then I was like, okay, we're both wearing white, it'll look cute.
Yeah.
But
and she was like, should I have the sleeveless? Should I not? So I was like,
it's like so sad that we have to care so much about what society thinks that we are almost willing to completely change ourselves. Jabke men, they're so proudly like wearing shorts, they'll, have 10 girlfriends, they'll be like cheating left, right, and center on their wives even after getting married.
100%.
Bumble pe kitne, I see so many married guys, just by the way, red flags. And like, it's just like, koi unko kuch nahi bolta, because we're living in a patriarchal society. It's always like the women will be policed, the women will be scrutinized, the women will be asked to compromise. But like, I think, this is one of the reasons why I felt so free when I went to Turkey, because even though Turkey is also a Muslim country,
you can wear what you want.
it's not like कि वहाँ पर आपको like डंडे मार के आपको बोलने कि इस्लाम आप follow करो. People follow it because they want to, because they genuinely feel that love for God. आप कभी भी किसी को spirituality की तरफ या religion की तरफ डंडों के साथ ही लेके जा सकते हो. You have to make them fall in love with God by showing them how beautiful like Islam is and what a good character our prophet, the holy prophet, had, So you always you lead by example.
Yes, sister. Yes. You tell him, dude. Yes. I love that. So my question is that, like, when you do post something, which obviously you get comments like this, which is obvious. So do you then, do you restrict yourself, or because I noticed that you do it, dude. Like you post things that I wouldn't post.
Yeah,
just because of that, like,
don't
fear.
care. I'm just like, बोलने दो, मेरी life पे कोई effect नहीं आ रहा है. Why should I care?
Dude.
But you know what? Another thing, like,
so you don't think about it twice.
I just don't think about it.
Like, I think about it maybe like 10-15 times. So
why are you letting it affect you?
Yeah,
like, why are you letting
it lets me
weirdo sitting behind his screen who has no life, okay, like, tell you how to live your life?
I love it. So you're like, sorry, you're like I like this post, I'm gonna post it, and that's how you
I'm
operate.
just like, I think I've reached to a level of like self-actualization where I don't feel the need for external validation.
Nice.
And honestly, like, I don't even पहले शुरू में मुझे होता था अच्छा कि मेरे पोस्ट पे कितनी लाइक्स आ रही हैं या कितनी लाइक व्यूज़ आ रहे हैं.
जी.
अब मुझे इसलिए थोड़ा होता है कि चलो ब्रांड से मुझे पैसे लेने होते हैं तो मैं उनको एंगेजमेंट रेट दिखाती हूँ. बट other than that, I don't care if I like my content and if I'm happy with it. If it even I know कि कम engagement आएगी, I'll still post it because I like it. I post, okay, even my entire like blog, my profile, it's all me. It's all me. It's all organic me. It's not something that I'm faking, and it's basically my personality summed up in an Instagram like
I love
profile.
that. I love that, dude. I'm so proud of you for being so just fearless and comfortable in your own skin.
Thank
because
you.
I think you can tell your confidence, you can tell how secure you are as a human being. And my next question would be that how did you reach self-actualization? How did you get rid of those I guess traumas or whatever holds us back in life? Did you take therapy or what was it?
I did.
Okay, nice.
Shout out to my therapist, Maria.
Yeah, shout out to mine too, by the way. Love you, Anya.
So like, the funny thing is my therapist's name is also the same as mine. We're both Marias, and we were vibing over how Marias have great energy. So I wasn't always like this. I was in school like the most underconfident person, introverted. I was fat and I had like zero confidence and I was bullied a lot. So, and I had no friends. I was like a loner. And then, my daddy was like, when I was around 13, she was like, okay, there's this aerobics class happening. Maybe you should join it. And then like I was the only 12-year-old who was like amongst all these aunties who were like gymming. Not gymming, but like at that time aerobics was a thing. And like, anyway, I did it for like 3 months. I lost a lot of weight. And then like I started getting noticed in school, like.
Hot.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I think I look nice. And then that's when I slowly started getting my confidence, and then it's sad that your confidence is also based on how you look and how other people compliment you or like diss you or like how other people see you. It should actually come from within, but for someone who's a young girl, how do you kind of tell them that, you should feel confident from within, not based on what others think of you? Like, I have a sister, right? She's 13 right now. And like Gen Z, it's also tricky with them because they've grown up in like a society of like social media. We didn't have to constantly compare ourselves to like all these influencers or like celebrities with fillers and like unrealistic beauty standards, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm just like so scared for the girls growing up in this generation because they're being fed this, these unrealistic standards of beauty that you need to look a certain way in order to feel pretty, in order to feel accepted, in order to feel validated. And this is what I keep telling my sister, that, hey, stop using so much TikTok. It's gonna mess up your brain, and like, you don't have to feel, like you need to look like these people.
Yeah, dude, I see Kylie Jenner's, page, and I'm like, bro, I'm in love with her, bro. Like, I think she's so hot, and I do look at her, and I try to goals. Like,
I think for
hashtag
me,
goals,
it's
honestly.
I love Dua Lipa, but
Nice.
and I don't know. I mean, I feel like all celebrities get some work done, but
Right.
it's like, okay, they have to look a certain way because they're in the industry, right? But it's also sad that they dictate universal beauty standards.
That's also true, because I remember, like, going back to Kylie Jenner, when I was in university.
Oops. Sorry.
नहीं, that's okay. Mic इनका face पे नहीं आ रहा है, right? Are you sure? Because हमेशा. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, fine. हाँ, सही है. Okay, so basically, तो going back to, I guess, Kylie Jenner, तो जब मैं university में थी, when I was in college, like, she had gotten, like, her lips, and she was looking like the hottest thing ever, right? So we started, doing some pumper thing, and
the
I
lip
got
gloss that makes them a bit like.
No, it was like a suction kind of challenge where you put your lips in a water bottle and you suck them or something. And I got so badly injured, bro. Like, I had like a full like line over here for like 2 days, just because I wanted to be like her, and I didn't want to get lip fillers, but I just was so obsessed with like that, like, and she was like, yeah, I didn't get lip fillers, I just did that, and I was like, okay.
Right.
No, then she admitted it later on, but my point is that, it was so much so that me, an educated girl at NYU, is like, if I can do it, then, what about the younger girls, that are not in
They're
university?
the most, like, I feel like, malleable, and they're most easily manipulated because, they haven't been through those stages in life where you're like, I don't care about what society expects of me. So I think, so I have been through those stages, but I just realized that, it always made me feel incomplete because when I was always seeking validation from the outside rather than from the inside.
Yeah.
So 2 things that really helped me were like, firstly, therapy.
Yeah.
And secondly, me connecting with myself through spirituality. So like connecting with, again, what God, says in the Quran. Like, when you just look for validation from God, you stop caring about what society thinks.
150%. And, you will watch the magic unfold in your life. When you just rely solely on God and have that faith, it's the most beautiful thing, I think.
For sure.
Amazing, yaar. I feel so happy with this conversation. Should we play a little game?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. Amazing.
What kind of game is it?
Okay. So, I'll just ask you, like, questions and we'll answer the ones you want.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna.
Ooh, okay. Who's your favorite Kardashian or Jenner?
I wouldn't. I used to like Kim, but then she got all those like implants, and now I don't wanna like. So I think Kylie. Yeah.
Kylie. Okay. I'm with you. I mean, I love Kim. I love them all, but yeah, like Kylie and Kim, I would say. But okay, Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix. Although I wish I said YouTube, but like I'm just such a Netflix person.
I know. Okay, Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio?
Leonardo DiCaprio. I love Leo. He's just.
I love
even
Leo
though
too.
I think Brad is obviously like hotter, but like Leo's
Leo
so
is like a
charming.
boss, you know. Like
He's
yeah, and
so
he's
charming.
such an amazing actor, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could attend one celebrity concert front row, who would it be?
Oh, Eminem.
Eminem.
Dude, yeah.
Okay, nice.
I love Eminem. Like, I know people would probably say Coldplay, but like, I don't know, Eminem and I go way back. Like, all the
Yeah.
childhood trauma I got over was like through Eminem.
Okay, so I would say Beyonce, 1,000,000%, 100%, always,
Yeah.
forever. But yes, Eminem also is pretty. I love Eminem also.
I love
you know,
him.
You go way back. We got one shot, you know. Okay, what's your go-to spiritual practice? Yoga or journaling?
Yoga. I'm very like into, somatic therapy. So I think releasing stress through like movement is definitely it for me.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, manifestation. I know you believe in it, but the question is manifestation. Do you believe in it or not?
That's so funny. I think I don't know how to answer that.
So yes, I
Yes, I do.
do. You believe in it a lot? Can
I
you give me
do.
one short example of how manifestation has
Works.
worked in your life?
I
In your
think
life?
every day people, whether they, at least like people who pray and they're asking for dua in their namaz. I mean, I know there are lots of techniques for manifesting. There are words of affirmation. There's like, the whole like mind-body connection, and then you're visualizing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like people who don't even know that they're manifesting. They're manifesting through dua every day in their namaz,
Wow.
So I think people just don't know about it, but they're doing it every day.
Mashallah, dude, you're really like spiritual. One book you would recommend for self-growth.
So I would recommend Mark Manson's Everything is
Nice.
because it's a book about hope.
It's a book about hope.
So I know the title is like very like, it's clickbait and people think it's like about,
How everything is.
nihilism, but it's actually about hope, and it actually makes you take control of your life.
Wow. And for me, I would say Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which
Oh,
is an
I love him.
amazing book.
I love him.
You love him, right?
Yeah.
He is amazing, and that book changed my life, the trajectory of my life for sure, because it talks about the power of intention and how to start with why, and why must you always have pure intention before you do anything.
I love that. There's also this other book called The Power of Now by
Eckhart Tolle.
Tolle,
I
yeah.
love it, dude.
I love that
it.
too. Yeah.
And The Untethered Soul, dude. You
I haven't
gotta
read
look
it.
into that. Okay. What is the best life hack you learned from a spiritual guru?
The person told me was we're all sort of like we're different versions of each other. Like if you start picturing the person in front of you as a version of yourself in like a just different like universe or parallel universe or something, you're gonna start developing empathy, and you're not gonna react towards them that same way. So, I was just like, okay, yeah, if I'm angry at someone, do I really want to treat myself that way? No.
Wow.
Even if, for example, you have like a subordinate and you're giving them feedback,
Mm.
do you really want to yell it at them, or can you say it in a more polite way,
Yeah.
a considerate way?
That is beautiful, Maria. That is amazing. What's your nickname, M?
It's Mars.
Mars. That's
like the
beautiful,
chocolate,
Mars.
'cause I'm sweet.
Amazing. I'm gonna call you Mars.
And
because I love
delectable.
to call people by their nickname. I love that. Okay, Disney princess or action movie star? Who are you at heart?
Action movie star.
I'm definitely a Disney princess. Like I'm
Yeah, you
literally
do
like
give
I've
like
come
princess
from a Disney
vibes.
princess. Like yes, like I want everyone to understand that I'm a Disney princess. Like I'm actually not
Guys,
from
take
the-
notes.
Take notes seriously.
Give
like
her princess treatment. Give her passenger princess treatment.
150%, bro. Like 1,000,000. Now, finally, I'm gonna hum a tune. I'll probably cut this out because it's not gonna be amazing humming. But I want you to guess what song I'm humming.
Okay.
Okay?
Don't cut it
Can you
out.
do it with me?
Don't cut it
She's
out.
like, no, bro, I'm not doing it with you. You're on your own. Okay. Okay.
Do it. You have a nice voice. Do it.
Okay, I can do it. Okay.
Bole, Churi.
Yeah, how did you got it?
You're doing a good job.
Oh my god, you got it. Amazing. Okay, you try one for me. No, she's like, okay,
I
cancel.
have a horrible voice.
No, you have a beautiful voice.
Cannot
But,
sing.
and we also like to celebrate you, Mars, today because you are so special and you're
thank
such
you.
an awesome boss
you,
lady.
Z.
And I swear to God, I wasn't expecting it to be
No, wait, the Gen Z
so
is
poppin',
just-
dude. I wasn't expecting this conversation to be so off the charts.
wholesome.
One of my favorite ones for
I'm
sure,
so
by the way,
glad.
honestly.
Aw.
And we have a little thing for you. So
Aw.
she's gonna, bring it on over. And at that moment, we're all gonna, sing for you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Happy
Jaldi.
birthday.
So every day should be your birthday, Mars, because you're so
Aw.
special. And
That's
let's
so
everyone sing
sweet.
Happy
What?
birthday to you.
It's not my birthday
Happy
yet.
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mars. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
This is so
Yes,
sweet. I'll
of
play this
course.
on my actual birthday.
Amazing.
But like, you have the cake. Cut it with me.
Okay, I'll cut it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. On a count of 3. Sorry, I'm like pointing the knife. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Make a wish. Woo! Amazing. Okay.
Aw. You
And
guys
we
didn't
got
have
you-
to.
And we got you
Aw,
flowers. Wow.
So sweet.
Of course.
Guys, take notes.
Yes,
Get us
guys,
flowers.
guys, take notes because
Thank you.
Of course.
sweet.
Do you like flowers?
I love flowers.
Oh, I'm so happy.
If a guy really wants to impress me, they should get me flowers. That's
Heard
like
it
the
here
first thing.
first. Heard
Yeah.
it here first. Yes, and then this is a final memento
Aw,
piece
thank
for
you
your
so
time
much.
here.
This is so
Open
sweet.
it here and tell me
Okay.
what you think.
Can I put this?
Yeah,
here.
you wanna,
Oh my god, this is so sweet. This was so fast. How
Yes.
did you do this? This is,
Fresh
dude,
one, you know.
amazing. Your hats off to you and your team. Like, I'm so impressed.
dude.
You're doing such a good job, and like, this was super wholesome.
Oh, dude,
Thank you so
so much
much.
for coming on the
Aw.
show. I really hope you enjoyed,
I
and
loved
I really
it.
enjoyed
I
it,
loved
dude.
it. I love
loved it.
connecting with you.
I love connecting with you, and we've got to
Yeah.
stay in touch because
We
you and me
will.
together, man,
We will.
like off the
I
charts.
think it was magic.
It was magical, bro. It was magical.
Should
I'm
I show
so
this
happy.
to the camera?
Yes, show it to the camera. This is your camera.
You guys, this is so sweet. And they
Yeah.
did this like right now, so fast. Like, hats off to Zara and her team.
Yes, girl. Yes, yes. Amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Hello Zara. I hope you guys loved it as much as I loved it. And make sure to follow, subscribe, share, like, and Maria. Follow Maria.
Follow all of us, all of our
of us,
channels.
all
yeah.
the time, all the time. You're gonna see updates. Okay, love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. How do you blow a kiss? Do you blow
I,
kisses?
I don't blow
I don't
kisses.
kiss, okay? I don't kiss and tell, and I don't kiss, okay? But I always kiss. So, mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye, guys. Cut.
Perfect. Very
Amazing.
nice. I love it.
I loved
This
it.
was
dude.
so much better than the scripted like questions.
Nahi. This was
Yeah.
perfect, yaar. This
Very
was
nice.
too good.
Very
too
nicely
good.
done. Honestly,
And
like,
you're like a natural. Usually, I
Dude,
do
you're
script
natural.
I script because then they need a direction, But you're
Yeah.
like solid. You need to start your own podcast.
I really want to.